All right, guys, we're jumping in on the deep end for this one. I'm going on uncharted territory, essentially. I've even sat down, removed the green screen, so this video is going to be interesting to say the least. So what we're going to be talking about is the hype behind Rathalos Blade Master and why it is possibly undeserved, maybe, and he's not really as good as what you think he is or what maybe you've been led on to believe he is. So let me explain a little bit more. I was thinking about making this video yesterday. I wasn't 100% decided. I saw a video from Bronco, which he was having a very similar sentiment, essentially. So coming down the comment sections, I saw somebody comment, "Thanks for the hot take, man. Based on the other CCs, I was going to auto max him and spin the gems on his masteries. However, based on this, I may take a more realistic approach as I can't even match the level of gear you threw on him." So that comment alone made me think, well, maybe I should actually add to that as well, give my opinions about this champion, because if players are going out and maxing this champion instead of more impactful champions, that's something to consider, okay? Honestly, Rathalos, I don't believe is one of the better login champions we've had. I believe Sun Wukong is quite a bit better than him. I believe Artak is more versatile. Now, whenever I'm saying better, it's not for every single player. It's just for the majority of players. So Rathalos does have his niche, and I am going to talk about that. His specific area where he is a specialist and very good at performing. However, when you're talking about general better than champions like Ninja, this champion, I mean, he's usable in a lot of different areas. He's very good. Ninja, excellent champion. Sun Wukong, usable in a lot of different areas, a lot of different builds. For a lot of players, very good champion. You have Artak, very similar stuff. Used in a lot of different areas, very good. His kit makes sense in all kinds of different areas in the content. He can work by himself or with a team, excellent. And then we have champions like Rhonda. She may not be used as many areas, so maybe she's similar, but she has a lot of stuff that she can bring to the team that works out fantastic. A lot of different buffs or a lot of different debuffs, and in general, very solid kit. Now, when you come over to Rathalos Blade Master, he is a damage dealer. He's just a straight up damage dealer, doesn't need accuracy, stack the damage, and I'm going to show you some comparisons, but let's go over his kit. So his A1 has a 50% chance of placing decreased defense. If it's a boss, it cannot be resisted. So on clan boss, very consistent decreased defense. That's excellent. Everybody loves decreased defense. It's fantastic. His A2, every second use of the skill is an AoE attack, which is cool, but it adds a layer of complexity to it, especially when you look at his passive, which is a big focal point I want to talk about and why I don't think this champion is good for majority of players. We'll also ignore 25% of the defense. If it's a boss, we'll ignore 100% of the defense. Pure damage, amazing, hits super hard. Nobody's arguing that. But the setup behind it is where I have some real issues, to be honest. And then his A3 attacks all enemies. Before attacking, places increased crit damage and increased speed buff on this champion for 2 turns. If you use him in content like Hydra, you have to be mindful of that because Mischief Tank, well, he's going to have more buffs than the other champions, most likely. So if you're going to build him with resistance, you're probably not wanting to do that because if you're building him for damage, you probably don't want to separate stats to resistance as well, but he's going to have more buffs than a lot of champions for a lot of players' teams, so he's going to be getting hit by the Head of Mischief, messing up stuff. This is his only AoE consistent skill, and it has an okay multiplier of like 4 point something, I think, so it hits fairly hard, but then his passive. But with his A3 for clan boss, you may even just want to turn this off because of the increased speed. For Hydra, you may want to turn it off, so you may just be using these 2 abilities. Either way, let's look at his passive skill. His passive inflicts 50% more damage against targets with HP burn, receives less damage from targets under HP burn, and then every 5th skill used by this champion deals 200% more damage. So, if you wanted to optimize his damage, you're going to be looking for the 5th use of a skill lining up with the 2nd use of this skill. I had ran some numbers on a sheet yesterday. If you have everything fully booked, it looks like once in every 30 hits, you're going to get an AoE attack that also gives 200% boosted damage. Whether you have the A3 turned off or not, it seems to be 1 in every 30 hits, which isn't great. You can use sets like Reflex to maybe give you a slightly better chance, but it could also reset and make you never get a 200% damage boost. You can use Relentless to cycle through the stuff faster, but essentially once in every 30 turns, from the math that I did, that's how often he's going to be getting the 200% boost to this ability when it's doing an AoE skill. Now that's on full auto. If you're doing it manual, then you can make that much more consistent. However, that's where the issue, in my opinion, starts. Using this champion on manual all the time. One of the biggest issues with most players is they don't like doing content in manual, right? Like Hydra is already a pretty big time sink, even on full auto. But if you're running this champion, if you're pushing max damage, you're not the person I'm talking to. If you're pushing max damage and this champion's boosting your damage, he's an excellent champion for you. But if you're somebody looking to get a 1-key team and you're wanting to run full auto, you're wanting to do full auto content, well, this champion's not probably going to give you what you're looking for, and there's possibly better options in your account as well. So let me pull up this highly sophisticated method of taking notes that I did over the last few days. I know, it's pretty impressive, but a notepad up here. So what are my, I guess, problems with this champion? Well, first up is no control or general team help. You look at the previous login champions, you have Artak. He has all AoE skills, curse set, provoke set, regeneration. He has HP burn. He has a decreased attack. He has a lot of stuff for a lot of content. Not every champion has to be like this, but he brings a lot of stuff. He is justifiably hyped, excellent champion in my opinion. Next up, we have Ninja. Ninja brings the freeze, he brings the burn, he brings a decreased defense on the A1, he brings a lot of stuff that works out in a lot of different areas. That's general team help in my opinion. Sun Wukong, he brings a strip. He brings a strip plus block buffs, excellent for Hydra. He brings a very hard-hitting A2 ability that I can get to hit well over 1 million damage on decapitated heads on Hydra. And then his A1 places a stun. He can be used as a damage dealer or as a support champion. General team help, excellent champion. These are the two most recent, I believe, free login champions. So both those champions fall into the category, in my opinion, of general team help. They make sense for early to mid-game players to invest their resources in because most likely you're going to use those champions. Rathalos doesn't do that. Not all champions have to do that. That's perfectly fine. But let's get into some other points. So the next point is, let's see, scroll down a little bit, not auto-friendly. That is really the biggest thing for me. Some players may not care. If you want to spend hours in Hydra a day trying to get the perfect matchup, the perfect lineup, that's okay. You can do that. That's fine. But I think a lot of the hype around him forgets that one big thing. Even me, when I was going into it, I was like, okay, he needs this setup. I know that, but maybe I can get away with it, having it happen every so often. And he does still do good damage, but I'm going to show you guys another champion who also does good damage, but is 100% auto-friendly. Not a free champion, Mashald, but he still does amazing damage. So in my opinion, having a champion who's not auto-friendly in a game where I personally, and I assume that a lot of other players like to get their teams to an auto-friendly point, which is why you don't manual clan boss, which is why you don't manual a lot of stuff. There is the exception of Hydra and Hydra Clash trying to squeeze out as much damage as possible. But even for me, I still prefer to do auto content because it's not only auto, but it's the specific setup required, which, let's look at the next point is, well, getting clicked away because my notepad can't take it, is actually, let's just show everything. Let's just go ahead and reveal all the points that I have right here. The next thing is A3 buffs mean turning it off for the returning team or for the team in general, which is the placing the buffs, Hydra can steal them, mischief targeting, it's all weird, and the team setup required to truly shine. So essentially, all that said, the A3 can possibly cause some issues. If you leave it on, it's okay, but you may have to deal with those issues in Clan Boss and Hydra, which are the areas you're most likely using him in. The team setup required to truly shine. This is a big issue for me as well. So besides being not auto-friendly, the team setup required to shine, let's take a look at this, okay? So with Rathalos, you don't necessarily need a decreased defense because his A2, if that's what you're worried about mostly, is going to ignore 100% of defense on bosses. So let's say you don't even need a decreased defense, but you do want a weaken because if you're going to have as much damage as possible, you're going to basically need a weaken. Well, decreased defense, weaken, HP burn. HP burn makes him do 50% more damage. You need that consistently. Well, if you're going HP burn, all that stuff can be covered by a champion like Venus. It can all be covered by a champion like Sishia. These two champions are excellent. Well, for Hydra, if you have Venus, let's say you want to throw in Rathalos. So you throw in Rathalos, Blade Master into this team. So now you're looking for things like block buffs. You're looking for several different things, and you may want another damage dealer. But a common thing that I've found with a lot of players is getting him fit into a team is kind of difficult because he himself doesn't bring a ton of extra stuff. When you look at the other teams that I have set up, okay, Mashald, he's bringing increased speed, increased crit damage. Sishia's bringing the burns, the weaken, all that kind of stuff. All these champions are bringing multiple things. These are the kinds of stuff you're looking for when building a team that is going to be, going really high in damage. This team, Cupidus, he's a damage dealer. He's bringing a lot of stuff. He's bringing the burn, AoE attacks on every skill, a lot of damage very consistently. Michinaki, he's bringing a lot of stuff. Very good damage dealer. The Hex, the decreased defense, the decreased attack, the strong, hard-hitting A1 ability. Newt, big max HP hits. The A1, the max HP hits are very consistent. That's, I guess, his main calling card, and he does excellent with that. With Rathalos, his single target hits, they hit hard, but you're really looking for that A2 to be a 200% boost on a target that's under burn with weaken to really proc that million damage plus per head where it looks really, really good. With this setup, let me actually jump in here to Hydra and I'll show you the damage he can deal and I'll try to get it set up to where he can actually do it, but it's going to be a manual. If I do it on auto, he's just not going to hit it very often. He may every now and then, but in general, it's not going to be that frequent, unfortunately. So with this, I want to compare him to Mashald. So we have 3 damage dealers. There's a lot of damage dealers, I know. We'll throw in a Duchess. We need a decreased speed champion. I would like to have a block debuff champion. So if you had a champion like Ultimate Gallic, that'd be an excellent option here. He has really everything you need, and some players have all those options, but for me, I don't have that. So we're going to throw instead, let's throw in a Ugo. So she's going to bring some heals. She's going to bring some other stuff. Where is she at? So we have Ugo. So now we have the block debuffs. We have increased speed. We don't have a decreased speed. We don't have a decreased attack either. So decreased speed and decreased attack both come from Necmo, which Necmo also brings increased speed. So we'll throw him in there also. So this is a pretty decent team, I believe. We're going to turn off his A3 ability. Actually, we can leave that on. We're going to use Venus, number 1, number 2. This team, for me, I can do this team. This team may actually do some pretty good damage. However, the issue is that most players watching this video, if I made a video with this team, would probably be like, okay, you have some OP champions. I need to see a more free-to-play team. There are some options out there, definitely. I know Nubs has done some videos on some more accessible teams. Definitely worth watching. It's just getting his damage in full auto, which is what I prefer, is not going to be the easiest thing in the world. So let's jump in here and do this. And he has pretty good gear. I'll show you his build after this again. I'm going to turn it on full auto just for a minute. Let me shrink myself a little bit so you guys can better see the champions. Once we kill these heads is when it's going to be really impactful. So his A3 right here, we have burns, we have no weakens up yet, unfortunately, but actually, let's just, we have no provoke either. We have no provoke, which is unfortunate. We have hex, we have no provoke though. So it's going to cleanse. We did low damage, 57,000. Let's see what Mashald hits for, just out of curiosity. Mashald is faster, but in a relatively similar build. Now we do have the weaken now, which is going to skew things a little bit. I actually do have a provoke champion with Necmo, so he can provoke. Mashald, so actually let's do a free regroup and try to get the provoke to actually happen there, because Necmo is in fact in a provoke set. So I believe he is. No provoke there, but I'll just, I can't use both, unfortunately. We'll reset it one more time. Once it's like, this team, obviously, I didn't spend a ton of time thinking about this. I could have used a Krisk instead of Necmo. Probably not very good for the whole free-to-play friendly approach, though, to be honest. Still didn't get the provoke up. We'll do it one more time. If no provoke, then I'm just going to go without it, I guess. I could drop Ugo and throw in a Molly instead, and it could be okay, but I want to get the provoke just with Necmo here. Okay, still no provoke. Let's swap out Ugo for Molly. We're going to have everybody burning anyways, so Ugo for Molly, get the provoke, makes things a little bit more simple. So now, jump in here, get her to provoke, so there's no cleansing, so we can actually show a fairly decent representation. He'll probably land provoke this time. Okay, still no provoke. Sweet. Got the burn, and we got the decreased defense and weaken on all the heads. So this is actually an excellent comparison. They're both attack-based champions. So there's going to be one difference with Mashald, the increased crit. Actually, no. They're all going to have increased crit damage as well. So pay attention to this. Mashald hits for, let's see, 160, 141, 197, 108. Let's see what he hits for. 137. So relatively similar damage, right? We can actually go ahead and back out of this just for those two first hits. We have Rathalos 526 and then Mashald doing 790,000. He has Phantom Touch. It's going to be a little more damage, but either way, you can see right there, just from the A1 ability, Mashald's going to do his that's his A1, okay? That's Mashald's A1 ability. It hits hard. Decapitated heads, I've seen it hit for 1 million damage. He hits hard. He's geared faster than Rathalos, but he's not geared insanely higher level than Rathalos. So let me go ahead and cycle through this stuff a little bit better. We'll hit with the A1, boom, good damage across the board. We'll go A3, get some of these heads down, try to get Rathalos set up in the perfect position to actually use his A2 ability being an AoE skill. With a 200% damage, may not be able to get it all to line up perfectly, but if we could at least get it to be an AoE skill by itself, would be awesome. But Mashald, 90, 95, overall, very solid damage. We have the burn on everybody. Excellent stuff. We're going to go ahead and try to hit this head. Knock it down a little bit. 325. Very nice. I'm not saying he can't do damage. He can definitely do some pretty good damage. And then we got to hopefully work through this a little bit better. We need a provoke over on that head. If Molly can get back around, that'd be awesome. If Nekamo could play something, that'd be also awesome. But here, I'm comparing Mashald's damage to Rathalos. But remember, Mashald also brings increased speed. He's also bringing increased crit damage. So he's not only bringing damage, he's bringing AoE consistently and a leech, which we don't technically need because we have a Nekmo, but he's bringing a lot more than just damage. And I think that's a big thing with Hydra is damage isn't the most important thing. If you're pushing high numbers, damage is extremely important without a doubt, but it's not the most important thing. You have to have all the other makeups as well. So we did the A2 once. We're gonna get these heads set up with HP burn, hopefully, and decreased defense, and then smack with the A2 again with an AoE hit. Before I do that though, let me see if I can get Mashald to do his hits on the decapitated heads. They don't have decreased defense yet, or weaken, but let's see what they are. So we're gonna hit this head, the shared damage, that's 671,000 damage on that head right there. Does have decreased defense and weaken, but 671,000 damage from his A1 ability. A1, okay? Remember that. It's not from his A2 that you have to prime and get in the perfect spot. Now this, I hope it hits hard. I kind of even want to save it for the next turn to see if we can get it to hit even harder on this head. So let's save it one turn. I don't know where he's at with his 5. Let's see. Okay, the passive did proc there, unfortunately. So an extra 200% damage. We didn't get to take advantage of that just yet. But having the weaken is going to make it a little bit better from the A2 ability. So we have the HP burn as well. We don't have the weaken yet, unfortunately. But now 700,000 on that head right there from Mashald. It's a lot of damage. Now we can actually see, hopefully, this head over here. Actually, we have 3 heads down now. So Rathalos, let's go ahead and see what your A2 hits for. They don't have decreased defense and weaken there. I want to go ahead and use it though. So let's go ahead and see what it hits for. We have 700, 800, 500. That's good damage. 700, 800, 500. This head doesn't have weaken, so it would have been even higher. 200% damage boost would have made it 1.4, 1.5 million, almost 2 million damage. Fantastic. It's good damage. Definitely it is. However, we're going to get out of this match in just a minute and see what his damage compared to Mashald's actually is. Like, now, Mashald is not a free champion. I understand that. He's been in the game for a while, but he's not a free champion. So it's not super easy to compare a free champion to a champion who you get from shards. Can't do a one-to-one comparison. His A3 hits for 206 and 130. So let's go ahead and buff it back up again. We'll do one more turn. Actually, no. Let's go ahead and end it right now and see what the damage is. So Rathalos did 4.2. Mashald did 5.5. The damage isn't massively different. This was in full auto, trying to somewhat set it up. But essentially what I'm trying to show, I know if I was to run a match with Rathalos, I'm confident that he's going to do higher damage than Mashald. If I get everything set up perfectly, if the stars align, if I have HP burn on all the heads, if all the heads die at a very similar time, if I have if I have weaken on the heads, and if I have the 5th skill being used with the rotation of the 2nd skill on the A2 ability, then yes, Rathalos is going to do more damage than Mashald on that hit. He's going to do millions more. However, if you want to spend the time to do that, this champion's good. The issue that I see, though, is when the champion is so hyped up that players get very excited for the champion, and they miss the fact that that champion requires a lot of manual setup. And I know most players don't want to go in and do a lot of manual setup. So having a champion that requires that much manual setup and, you know, wanting to invest in them during CVC, building them up, it's not good, because I'm going to be honest, if you build this champion expecting your account that is not very far progressed in Hydra, you don't have all the pieces to make the team work out great. You don't have the provoke to control. You don't have the hexes to share the damage, not as needed, but you don't have block buffs. You don't have the burn plus the weaken. You don't have all these pieces to fit into your team alongside this champion and still make it make sense. You're probably going to be disappointed with this champion. I threw him into my clan boss team in place of Rugnor. He did okay. He got pretty close to 1 key. It wasn't quite. I don't see anything wrong with that necessarily. I'm not going to use him. Rugnor does better because he brings decreased defense plus weaken. My clan boss team isn't set up. It's just a bad eater team. So it's not set up for him. I think if you had a team set up for him, he could do good. He could get you to that 1 key Ultra Nightmare level. Is he going to do it easier than other champions? I'm not sure. He's going to require more of a setup to really take advantage of his damage. But comparing his build to Mashald's, let's see. We have 5,200 attack, 284 crit damage, 185 speed, mastery's extra crit damage. Now, Mashald is going to be better built than this champion. So that could contribute to why the damage is better. Let's see. Mashald's 2-star Awakened. Let's see. So artifacts, he is Lethal Gear, 5,900, 257. So 5,900 and 257 versus Rathalos is at 5,200 and 284. So, I mean, the attack is okay, so 257 and 284. So, to be honest, I don't know. It is a difference in the gear. I'm not going to say it's not. However, I don't think it's a massive difference in the gear. It is going to show somewhat of a difference in damage. But for the comparison's sake, this champion being extremely hyped up for a huge damage dealer, and he does do good damage. It's just the team setup, the team required, may be worth you considering before you max him out during CVC or really just in general. He's a good champion, but I don't think he's as good as what you may get the impression of by watching videos. I know I did a Sun Wukong solo and Minotaur during the last free champion event. I want to compare Sun Wukong real quick to Rathalos. Actually, let's just do 1-to-1, okay? We can do no presets. Yeah, let's just do no presets. Keep it 100% fair, okay? No presets Sun Wukong. He is geared better than Rathalos, but no presets Sun Wukong into a no presets Rathalos. I think they can both do it. They should be fine. I can't guarantee that Rathalos can do it even with his gear currently, though. And my Sun Wukong is much better built. So that is definitely something worth considering. He does fail it every now and then. I have seen him fail before. But there we go. 16 seconds. Sun Wukong done. Now, you're never, ever going to solo Minotaur anyways with no other champions in there. But let's do Rathalos real quick. If he fails, it's not on him. I'll take the blame for that if he fails. He may need to be over 200 speed. So we do that. Okay. AoE skill there. A2. He's doing good. So far, so good. We need the healing done. Okay. So we do need the heals. I don't have enough healing coming from the hits. Not a huge deal. He doesn't have as much AoE damage as Sun Wukong. If you have Sun Wukong's going to be better off, I think, my opinion, as a Minotaur farmer. Dungeons in general, I don't think he's going to be super... I've seen videos where Rathalos does good damage on the boss. The thing, I mean, I don't see him doing a ton of damage on these higher stages. Like, I threw him in place of Dark Kale. Doesn't work. Now, I'm not saying just because he doesn't work there, that means he's not going to work in Dragon. You could build a team around him. The thing is he bringing enough to make a team work? I would love to make him work in Fire Knight. I would love to make him work in any of those areas. It just seems like in the areas, it's very difficult to make it actually plan out. And if you want to maximize his capabilities, you really have to have so much stuff align that I think it's a very late game focused champion. A late, possibly in-game focused champion who's going to help people hit higher Hydra numbers in Hydra Clash. But let me know if I'm wrong, guys. It's been 22 minutes of me rambling and ranting. If you disagreed, you probably done clicked off the video. But if not, hey, I'm glad to have you guys here still. And I don't want to be just a contrarian necessarily. I just want to come out and say, hey, I don't think the hype for this champion is appropriate for every player. And if you're watching and seeing content and people are super excited about him, I want you to see if your champions and your teams are going to line up to him. The gear level for him is important, but he can smack no matter what the gear level is if you have the pieces lined up, I believe. It's just having those pieces, those crucial, vital pieces to actually get him to do the damage that you're hoping for. I'm going to fill that out later on. I don't feel like clicking through the champions just yet. But for Hydra Clash pushing numbers, I think it does make sense. I think he's going to be a good champion for that. Personally, I'm not going to use him for that. I recently did, I think I did hard with like almost 300 million damage. I just used a Mashald, full auto team, walked away, came back, the team was done. I'm not worried about pushing the highest damage I can get on Brutal. I want to do it in full auto. I'll go as hard as I can on full auto, but for me, if the run is 30, 40 minutes on full auto, that means it's going to be probably 50 minutes on manual. But we have Centranos. We have the Cursed City to do. This is a decent amount of time each day. We have Arena, 3v3 stuff to do. Live Arena if you're into that. So there's so many different things to spread your time out during the day. It's just, I mean, I know Hydra is only once per week you have to do it, but that's up to you. That's completely up to you. I'm not somebody to say whether you should be doing that or you shouldn't be doing that. I just know it's something I'm not going to be doing. I know a lot of other players are not super interested in manualing Hydra for 2 hours if it gives you a couple extra million points in damage. Maybe even 50 million extra damage, maybe even 100 million damage. Maybe at that point you'd want to do it. I don't know. That's up to you to decide. I just wanted to put this video out there essentially to share with you guys that, hey, this champion is good for some players, but for some players, it's just not going to be as good as what you're hoping for. I don't think you're gonna max him out. You're gonna book him. You're gonna get his masteries done, and you're gonna think, wait, why did I do that? He has a very niche specific kit that requires a very specific setup. And if that setup's not aligning, then there's probably other better damage dealers. Matter of fact, I want to see what Mashald's A1 ability is. Mashald's A1, what's the multipliers on that? So his A1 ability has a 3.9 multiplier. That is crazy. A 3.9 multiplier on the A1 ability for Mashald. Now, like I said, I understand that Mashald is not the best comparison because he is a non-free champion, but even Newt, compare Newt to him. Newt's going to do 3 hits on some of the heads of 500,000 damage. That's 1.5 million damage consistently. Like, you can plan for that. Newt does a lot of damage. Also different because he can single target stuff and kill the heads when you need him to. All kinds of different things there. On a 4-turn cooldown, I believe, so he's going to cycle through relatively quick. But ultimately, guys, take that for what you may. Build the champion if you want to build him. I just want to give you guys an insight, my opinions, my thoughts. Roast me in the comment section if you want. Let me know though. Like, honestly, let me know. I'm not here to say that, hey, my opinions are the right one. This is the best thing. This is how it is. No, I just another talking head on YouTube, just sharing my thoughts and opinions on this champion. If you have a strong disagreement, if you're an early mid-game player who got this champion maxed out and he is helping you with content, great. However, he's probably not farming the fastest in campaign for you. Let me go check out campaign real quick and see how quickly he's farming that, because I think I know a little hound who can do that a little bit faster, though campaign is never a comparison for me with these free champions. Unless you're a very early game player, I think Sun Wukong's just going to be far better for that. But I know a lot of players start off new. Maybe you started off new as in like the last few days. So Rathalos, let's see how quickly he does this by himself. Not going to even have no other champions holding him back. So first wave done in a few... whoa, okay. Well, that's a problem because it's Spirit Affinity. He's weak against that. So poor showcase on my part. Let's do 12-6. Poor showcase on my part there. So something else to plan for. Oh, well, more Spirit Affinity champions. That is very unfortunate. Guess what? We don't have that issue with my boy Fellhound. Unfortunately, we have to go to Magic Affinity stages, so something to consider, I guess, there. But Fellhound, this is a champion who's amazing for campaign, but in a similar vein to Rathalos, I wouldn't recommend taking him to 60 unless you specifically... This is level 1 Fellhound. I wouldn't recommend taking him to 60 unless you specifically want to speed up your campaign runs. Rathalos, I don't know if I would recommend investing in him unless you specifically want to improve on Hydra, specifically like Hydra Clash, or maybe you need a specific damage dealer for clan boss. I don't know. But here's a proper Fellhound doing campaign in 5 seconds. There we go. 5-second clears. My best was 4 seconds. I hit that one time a long time ago. So guys, let me get a little bit bigger. Thank you all very much for watching the video. I love and appreciate all of you and for all your support. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, all that kind of good stuff. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Definitely interested in hearing what you guys think about this champion. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but I guess I'm a Debbie Downer. Catch you guys in the next one.